Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm back with another little spotlight tutorial video for you guys. I'm continuing to create pages for the Heavenly Host devotional that I'm working through. Earlier this week or last week, I did do a video showing how I made these pages here, so I'll have that linked down below for you guys. Over on my Instagram, I use the same technique to create this page with a different stencil. So again, that will be linked down below for you guys. So I'm continuing on with that, creating content for that little notebook and just doing kind of these videos where I just pull out a technique rather than doing a full Bible journaling entry or something like that. So early on in the month when the kit released, I did share this photo over on Instagram. I do want to note just real quickly, though, that this kit is sold out. So for those of you who are going to be asking where this kit is, it is sold out. However, I did try to pull out some products for today's video that are still available. So sorry about that. But when it did first release, I shared an image over on Instagram in my stories, this little sneak peek here. When I saw the kit, I instantly wanted to play with alcohol inks. So we are continuing to play with alcohol inks, but we are going to mix in some alcohol lift ink. This was a new product to me. This was the first time I'd ever used it, was on this one here. And so this actually pulls off the ink and leaves you this really neat kind of ghost effect there. And then you're able to stamp with that ink as well. So the ink that you pull off, you're able to stamp off on something else. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 type page here. So that is what we're going to be doing. I'm also going to be showing you how to use it with a stencil in today's video. So I know I'll get questions about other ways that you can do this technique. This is unique to alcohol inks. Now you could probably create, similar backgrounds maybe with watercolors or other water mediums. But this will be, specific and unique to alcohol inks. So just heads up. So we're going to be working with a few different things here today. I realized in my last video, I did not mention that there were some important steps to take with alcohol inks. And so I do want to note that right at the start of today's video. With alcohol inks, you want to make sure that you're working in a well-ventilated space. You'll probably hear in the background here, I've got all of my windows and doors open. It's a beautiful day here in California. We're only going to hit about 85 and cloudy today, so I'm excited. So I've got all the windows open. I am also working on a protected surface. Alcohol inks are permanent, just like a Sharpie. So you want to work on a non-stick surface. I like to work on a glass mat. I'll link this one down below. I know it gives some glare. Sorry about that, but this is just so that it protects my other surface I have underneath. If you don't have a glass mat, you can use wax paper, yes, but freezer paper that has the plastic on the ones on the back side. That should work okay. You just need to be mindful what surface that you work on with alcohol inks and take those precautions. So as far as what to work on, I did see some questions about using these on cardstock or in your Bible or on paper. No. You do not want to use these in your Bible. They will bleed through the pages terribly. So I like to work on a separate piece of paper. To get alcohol inks to move and behave the way that they are meant to, you want to work on a non-porous surface. So I am going to be kind of fudging that a little bit, and I'll talk about why, but my main piece is going to be acetate, this clear acetate, but you can also work on Yupo paper. There's a few different things out there. For the acetate I'm using one from scrapbook.com that I've just cut down, but there's also the line from Tim Holtz. They do a whole bunch of different substrates. They've got the Duralar. This is like an extra thick acetate that's heat resistant. This particular one's only 5x7, so I wasn't going to use it for this particular project today because I want a full 8.5 tall page. But there's also Yupo paper, which is like a plastic paper. He's got them in like metallic finishes and clear and white and all kinds of different things. You can use alcohol ink on metal, any non-porous surface. So that is what I'm going to be working on here. I just have a piece of paper behind it so that you can see the colors and see what I am working on. And then, like I said, the neat thing about lift ink is you're able to pull off the image and then stamp it down on a separate piece of paper. So then it's acting based like regular ink. Now, I probably wouldn't stamp it directly onto a Bible page, again, because it is alcohol ink. So it's going to be like a dye-based ink. It's not going to be like a pigment ink that sits on the surface. So you may have some bleed through of the page if you stamp on your Bible page. So I'm going to be stamping on some dyed papers. I've shown these a ton. I will link the video down below. I use distress re-inkers to dye some papers. So for my 2-for-1, I'll be using that. So I already have, you know, a little bit of a background that I can stamp down on. Okay. Alcohol lift ink comes in 2 options. You've got the ink pad and then the re-inker. I would buy them together. I bought this first and then realized I wanted this also. I'm going to be using both in today's video. This is a magical ink. It's clear. I can't explain to you how it works, but it's going to lift that ink off of your non-porous surfaces, transfer it to your stamp, and then allow you to stamp it down. We'll be using the re-inker bottle with a stencil, and I'll be showing you that. Some other tools that you're going to want to use. I'm going to be applying the alcohol ink using some felt applicators. You can apply alcohol ink directly to the acetate. I have been playing around with that. I'm not getting the look that I want. I'm pretty new to using alcohol inks, but I am going to list Tiffany Solario. She has an amazing YouTube account. If you're not already following her, she has awesome, awesome, awesome content overall, but especially for alcohol ink. She does beautiful alcohol ink work. And she has been kind of my inspiration and who I'm learning from for how to use these products. So I will link her channel down below. But so you can apply directly to it, but I will be using these felt applicators today. Nothing special about these. You can use regular craft felt cut in a circle, but this is just nice because they're pre-cut for you. And then I just use the mini ink blending tools to attach them. You do not want to use your foam blending tools. That's going to just like suck the alcohol ink right into it. And you're going to have some issues with that. So you want to use the felt pieces. And then I also have here some 91% alcohol. This will be what I'll be using to move the alcohol inks around. I have some in a little squirt bottle, and then I also have some in a mini mister. And now there is the alcohol blending solution. This is different from just regular alcohol. This does have some resin in it. There are videos online that show the difference between them, how they react differently with alcohol ink. This you do not want to spray through a spray bottle. Do not spray alcohol inks. Do not spray blending solution. They have resin. It's not good for you. The only thing you want to spray is water or alcohol. So I'm just going to be sticking with those today. For stamps, so for the first ones that I did, this one here, I used this set from By the Will for God. This is the DIY Cathedral and then DIY Cathedral add-on. Now these did sell out very quickly. They restocked them and they sold out again very quickly. I don't think they have any intentions of restocking this. If they do, it would be later next year, but I don't think they're going to restock it. Super amazing set though. I did see some people were asking about how to use it. It's very, very simple. It looks intimidating, but for those that have it, I just went through and pulled out some of the different images from the devotional kit that had all of these windows. And then I just tried to kind of mimic the shapes that I saw in the window. So I tried to pull out, you know, because these were created from these graphics. So I tried to pull out the windows that I could see and then arrange those, you know, within the arch. You know, look at the circles, try to use those. So, I mean, really just mimicking the images that you see through the kit makes it very easy to use this set. But because this is sold out, I'm not going to be using that set today. I had pulled out graceful doilies. I'd intended on using that set, and I did use that set and filmed like almost completely done. And then right at the end, I dropped alcohol over it and kind of like ruined it, smushed it. It did not go very well. So there's nothing wrong with this. I can still use it, but for the sake of the video, I decided to go ahead and redo it. Now, Graceful Doilies is available in the By the Well for God shop, so you can find that over in the stamp section. Beautiful stamp set. But for today's video, I'm going to use these two, and these two are still available in the shop as well. Like I said, I tried to pick products that you guys could get a hold of. This is from the current release for the Heavenly Host. This is Good News. I pulled out the butterflies from here. And then this one was from last month. This is Steadfast Love, and it has this chain link piece with the butterflies. So I thought I would kind of mix and match the butterflies. Not quite sure how this one will work. With this technique, the thicker stamps do seem to do a little bit better than like very highly detailed, intricate stamps. I wouldn't even do it with words or phrases or things like that. They're just going to be too delicate. You want something that's got some more solid areas to them. And then we will also be doing some stenciling. I have not done this with a stencil yet. It'll be the first time on camera, so we'll see what happens. This is the Bricks, I believe, probably Brickwork stencil from By the Well for God, and we'll be pulling ink through this. Hopefully, we'll see. Okay, so I've got everything kind of laid out here, ready to go. I do also have some paper towel off to the side. Tim Holtz, when he demos this, he uses like really nice Viva paper towel. It doesn't have any texture to it. The texture can transfer if you're not careful. I didn't notice too much of a transfer with the technique that I'm doing, so I'm just using these. So you want to have everything ready to go. You can wear gloves if you want to. I am not going to today. First, we're going to just start by creating our background. I'm just trying to see here. Yeah, we'll do it this way like this. So I am going to lay down some alcohol on the acetate to begin with. So I'm just going to spray. This is just 91% alcohol, just kind of spraying it on my acetate, and then we're going to add the alcohol inks directly to our felt pad. So going in with some butterscotch, I went and just picked some colors that went with the imagery from the kit. This is sienna. I have found that I like kind of bigger spots of it on here rather than smaller spots, and you'll see why. This is slate. Some monsoon. I want a little bit of this, I think. Moss is a favorite of mine. I do want quite a bit of that. And then a little bit of mushroom, but I'm actually going to add mushroom in a different way here. And I should have worn gloves. I already got it on me. So then I'm just going to dab this. Ooh, I'm not sure about those colors. I'm trying a different color combination than I had done before. And I'm not so sure about that. We'll see what happens. So you can see with this technique, you get more of that kind of confetti splotchy look versus like, you know, putting the inks directly onto the acetate. Okay, so now I can come in and add maybe some of the other colors that I want on here. And I'm actually going to reach behind me and grab a blower tool. Okay, so I'm going to use this to kind of move. I hadn't done this for the other ones, but I'm not loving this color combination, so I want to kind of save it. This is the thing with alcohol inks, is they're pretty forgiving as long as you're willing to work with them, I guess is what I should say. I have a really hard time controlling them, so you kind of just have to let them do what they want and go where they want to, and then you'll have better results. So this is going to look a little bit different. I am wanting to make sure that the acetate is completely covered in the inks, and then I can always come back in with my dauber. The inks will kind of reactivate themselves, so these are kind of one-time use felts. I wouldn't reuse it because every time you add ink on there, it will be reactivated. I'm just going and kind of tapping those harsh little weird edges. Just kind of trying to smooth things out. I do not like that reddish orange. I think it was the sienna. I'm sure those of you who've been with me a while probably sensed my panic when I saw that right now. Has not at all my colors that I like. This is feeling a little bit better. A little more grungy, earthy. I don't want to have too many little speckly spots because it'll be hard to see the stamping when I do it. So it's kind of bleaching out there. I want there to be color. That's what's going to make it easier to see the stamping. Okay, looks like a hot mess, but I kind of think it will work out in the end. Okay, so I'm going to play with this for just a second, clean up my mess, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the stamping. All right, so I just added a little more yellow to it. Kind of just let things settle much, much better in the end there. It looked a little scary to begin with, but you can see, you just keep working with it. You can always wipe this completely off. So if you just used some alcohol on a paper towel, you can wipe off like 99.9% of the ink and start over. So, you know, that's kind of the nice thing about alcohol inks. Also, I would sit and maybe do a ton of these backgrounds all at once, just in different color combinations, and then just have them ready to go for future kits or future projects. This is kind of one of those things where I probably wouldn't just pull out and do one page for a project. I would do several all at once. So now you can see this was where I got the inspiration for the colors, and so not too bad. I do like the end result. I panicked there for a minute, so I made sure this was good and dry. It doesn't take very long to dry with alcohol ink. And then for the next step, we're going to go into working with the alcohol lift ink. So you do want to make sure that you're working with the alcohol ink side up. You can't lift the ink if you're working off of the side that the ink doesn't exist on. So you do want to work on this side. I've got all of my stamps laid out and ready to go. This is where a stamp positioning tool or a stamp stamp platform does come in handy, especially when you're stamping on, you know, a slick surface like plastic. This is helpful. I'm not going to use it today, but if you do have a hard time with things kind of slipping and sliding, you may want to try using one of these. But this ink is clear. You can't see it. It's a little slippery. The idea is that I want to ink up my stamp it down, hold it for a few seconds to lift the ink, and then I can transfer and stamp down to the other page. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start with this larger image here first. And we're going to see how this goes. I'm really hoping I don't mess it up because I am liking this page more and more as I look at it. You do want to make sure that your stamp is good and clean, or the ink will transfer to your lift ink pad, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your stamp is good and clean. And then I'm just going to go over this several times and just kind of imagine that it's getting the ink everywhere. Like I said, it's hard to tell because it's clear. And this is one of those mediums and techniques where it's just going to be not perfect, that you just have to go into it knowing that it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little more distressed, and that's okay. So I've gone ahead and inked it up, and then I'm going to stamp this kind of right along the edge here. I want to make contact. I want to, you know, firmly press like I'm pressing down to stamp an image, but I'm being very careful because it will slide and wiggle, and then you'll have a fuzzy image. So I'm just going to let this sit for just a few seconds while it activates the alcohol ink, picks it up, and then I can lift this, and you'll see it already starting to transform on that page. And then I can take this and stamp it onto my other page, as now it's just acting like an ink pad at this point. So that'll be transferred over there. And then this still has ink on it, so we want to remove that lift ink. So here's where your paper towel comes in. You first want to just dab at the ink. You don't want to rub quite yet. If you just went in rubbing, you would smear that lift ink all over. But as you lift it, you'll see that your image is getting revealed more and more. And I just kind of blot it several times, and then you can go in and buff it off and you'll see it really, really, really comes to life. And here's where you can see the importance of having, you know, not too many like spickly spots and blank areas, because that will kind of conflict with your lift image. So now we're just going to go through all of our stamps and do the same technique for cleaning your stamps. Tim Holtz does recommend using, I think it's like a solvent based, I think it's like a StazOn ink cleaner. I don't have that. I just use a little bit of 91% alcohol to clean my stamps. I know that there's conflicting information about that it's not exactly great for your stamps to do that. But I don't do it very often. I don't really have too much of a problem. I don't like soak it in alcohol. It's just enough to remove the alcohol ink that's on here. But we'll go ahead and continue. Actually, maybe we'll go ahead and do the stencil and then I can fill in the other butterflies. So like I said, I have not done the stencil before. We will see. We'll see what happens. So obviously I can't transfer, you know, over to here with ink. I mean, maybe I can dab it onto the paper. We'll see. I don't know. That'll be an experiment. So I'm going to use that same felt applicator. You don't want to use the dome, you know, foam applicator is going to suck this stuff right up. And I think that I'm going to put some out onto my stamp block and just kind of work it into my foam. And then now I'm going to come in and just dab. I'm not going to rub. I'm going to dab and just see how this works. I did kind of twist it right there and I did not want to do that necessarily. Okay, so we're just going to apply that through the stencil. We do still need to do the rubbing technique with the paper towel. I'm just going to I can overlay this over the areas where I've already revealed some. Like I said, I'm just kind of playing around. I actually kind of like that splotchy, not totally removed. Okay, let me just set that aside for a second. And then hold this up. Like I said, we are all experimenting together on this one. I'm going to leave some of it, I think, on there because I kind of like it not being totally bleached out. Same thing down here. I did apply a little bit. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect because you can't really see what you're doing with that ink because it's clear. But oh, I actually really like that. And I'll just use some alcohol to get this off my table. It'll be fine. Stuff that off. Yeah. So you can see with that particular stencil, because it has a lot of open area, it's going to take off quite a bit of ink. So let me kind of clean this up and then we'll come back and finish this up. All right, so I wanted to kind of show you some of my cleanup process here. I'm going to clean this ink off of the stencil because you can see it has transferred some of the alcohol ink to my stencil. So I just have some 91% alcohol in one of these like little containers here, and I'm just going over it with some alcohol and it cleans the stencil up. Not a problem. Same thing with my surface. I'll do the same thing for this stamp because you do want to make sure that your stamps are clean. This technique will stain your stamps, so just a heads up, there will always be some color on your stamps now. It does not affect how your stamps work. Stamps are meant to be used, so I'm okay with them getting you know, grungy and gross. Okay, so let's continue on. Now that we know how that works, you can see I didn't let it fully, like I didn't pick up all of the lift ink. And so when I went to wipe it off with the paper towel, it did kind of smush it and blend it, but that's okay. I'm not offended by that. I'm really loving how this is working out. So now I can go in with these more solid butterflies and kind of fill in some areas. I may only need the one. Right. I think I'm just going to do the one butterfly actually. And I can always do some other things on this page. I didn't want these pages to be identical. I do want them to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this butterfly. Again, trying to be very careful that I don't let it wiggle and move, but holding it for a few seconds so that it picks up that ink. And then lift it, and then I'll go ahead and stamp this kind of in the same general area, because just keep in mind, anywhere where I stamped off the page, there won't be ink. Can you see that on the tip of the wing there? There won't be ink there. So there you can see how well that transferred. Okay, and then we do need to go ahead and dab this to dab all that excess ink off. Just make sure we got all of that off of there. Just gonna buff it. I love the look of this. You can see a little bit more with those thicker butterfly wings. I am feeling just a little bit of stickiness on here still, but that should be pretty good. So now I can add, you know, a label sticker, die cuts, or journaling card over the top of this. I just wanted some fun acetate pieces in my journal to play with. So there's a look at that technique using the alcohol lift ink. Again, everything will be linked down below for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. I may end up just sending you over to Tim Holtz's video where he showcases this product if you're looking for more information about it, if you have more questions about it. Of course, his is way more in-depth, but this is how I'm utilizing it for the kit this month. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if it's inspiring, makes you want to pull out some new product to play with. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.